We'll go now to this picture, analyze the picture there. This is the picture, so we'll have to zoom in and just see the structures, which I see a few unusual things there in the crater, especially that curvy shape there. Here we've got the unusual things in the crater. Up here we've got that long thing. Still a bit hard to work out what's happening. Here we start to see some things happening, knobbly growths and stuff. Let's go to the next picture. 18946. This is a picture here, so we'll concentrate on this area down here. See what we can find. We see this knobbly thing happening. Now the next picture is a bit better. There we go. There's that crater. We see something definite happening in there. It's like a growth. I don't know if it can move or it's just a growth on its own, but it's very knobbly. It sticks out. That looks more like a growth to me. So that's the sort of things we can find in there. There we go. So I'm not sure. Can it move, or is it just a fixed object growing? Next one. 118. So this is the picture here. Again, you can't see much. You have to zoom in. With the iPhone, I see something there worth looking at, and let's see what we found. I've zoomed into this area, but it's not that easy to see something happening there. Let's go next picture. Something very knobbly there, sitting. Is it a worm or is it a fixed growth? And there is again. Nothing special to say about this one. Okay, here we have things happening. I think that's a growth. And there's a knobbly object there that looks like it's got two arms sticking out and one further up. It's very hard to work out what that is. It's just, that's all over the place. Let's find another one. Nothing special. Yes, this is a very good picture. Can this creature move? Is it permanent, fixated? I don't know, but that's the one we photographed before. It seems to have these long claws attached to it. I think this is a movable one. Long claws that stick out. There could be a separate creature down there actually. I'll try and enlarge it. We've got things. Is that a worm down there? Is it part of that larger object, some sort of sidearm? There's like a little antenna going up. Is it just sitting there waiting for the prey, and is the prey the worms? Next one. Picture. I'll go to this one. This is the picture there. We're going to zoom in and see what we found on the photographs. We see things here that are knobbly, bits and pieces coming off. That looks like a long worm, that one. Very knobbly. Or a growth. Let's go next one. Very hard to make out what that is. It looks just like a large object waiting there. That's the head of it, and that's part of the body. Can it move? Very hard to say. Okay, next picture. This is a very, very good picture. It shows a very large object just sitting there in the sunlight. Looks like a huge crustacean and one next to it. This is a very good picture. Now let's quickly zoom in. This is our first indication of things happening, where we see like a big round ball. Is it an egg or lava? Or is it a head of a worm? Don't know. Very hard on that one. Let's keep going. That's it there again. We see some things coming down the bottom, which are very nodular. Not that good picture. And this is the money shot. This one, it's very hard to get something like this. There's two of them. They're just sitting there. Symmetrical. That's part of the tail, I think. There could be one worm sticking out there, and this is a body. We've seen this picture before, but I think this is one other picture that they took when they flew over. That's part of the head there, and that's one other structure there next to a smaller one. These are like very large crustaceans that are sitting there. Look at that. That could be 50 meters or more or less. So they're quite large. I mean, in order for that to be photographed on the moon, so I can zoom in on it, it has to be quite large. So we've got one more happening there. Very anobular structure. Let's go to the next picture. But I think it's worth returning back to the other one. Just look at it. That's beautiful. That is one picture that you just, when you see it, you think, wow. I'll enlarge as much as I can. So there you go. What do you think of that? It's sitting there, enjoying the sunlight, waiting to catch prey. I think it actually can move. Or crawl. Has it got legs, or does it just crawl around? Is the prey smaller worms or whatever, or smaller creatures? Okay, let's go to the next. That one's not that good. Let's go to this picture now. As you see, this is one more picture, but we see a bit more happening down the bottom, and there's that creature sitting there. Actually, those craters from that height, that would have to be at least 50 to 100 meters long. They're not small. That can't be a small crater, and that growth is definitely not small. So here we have a knobbly structure in this picture. Here's that thing again. That's one other probably angle of it. It is something. So it is something there that's a growth or a creature. It's either vegetation or it's actually an animal. I think more it's an animal. This thing just sticks out from the lunar surface. I think there could be a crustacean buried underneath, and that's part of its antenna. Or it could be a growth. That's why this one's hard to make out. There it is. It just comes straight out of the soil and sits there. Fascinating. Here's just one very long one there on the horizon, but because we can't zoom in, I don't like to comment on that one. Here it is again. Beautiful. Now we go to the next picture. This is the next picture, and as you look quickly, you'll see here, like growth sticking out of the side. They look like those crustacean arms. So let's zoom in the picture, see what we got. There is a knobbly, what looks like curvy creature sitting right there in that picture. One little worm there, worm creature. That's better. One there that's knobbly, has its shadow, one little one, and another one there. I'm not sure, I can't work out the ones further up. Pretty hard on that one. There's something happening there. It's a bit knobbly. It could be a growth. Jump. Something underneath that ledge. It's curvy, knobbly. Ah, that's the perfect image. There's your worm, and there's the head of it coming over. So I think that's what they wait for, to catch these worms. There it is. Perfect image. A worm actually going up, and I think what we see there are the crustaceans or crabs or large arachnoids that just wait to catch these. Wow, that's a very strange thing to say, but it's happening on the moon. There's one knobbly structure there, and that's part of the picture there, and there's that worm right there, part of the shadow, and someone's waiting to catch it for lunch, I think. There it is. It's curving over. That's the worm I'm talking about. Very hard to catch in that position. Am I seeing too much into this, or is this all for real? Here we have a landscape there, landscape picture. We're going to zoom in. These are like those two arms that I saw, and we'll see what else. There's one structure there. I think there's a worm right there, so let's go in. This is a definite knobbly structure there, like a crustacean. So I'll try to zoom in. That's it. That's it there. So we're onto something. Once I see them, then I know Two little things sticking up. Don't know what that is. Here's that crustacean thing there. It's very knobbly. So they always seem to hide under the cliffs where there's shadows. It seems to hide to want to catch things. So it could be catching those worms that we photographed. There could be one there with its own shadow sticking up. So I never have dreamed now of catching these animals or crustaceans waiting on rock ledges to catch worms on the moon. It's just too hard to comprehend. I still can't get over the shock of finding this stuff. Next. There it is there, like a little worm sticking its head up. A few smaller ones there. And that's why I was seeing these large crustacean arms there, because I think it feeds. There it is. It just sits there. On the edge, it's very arachnoid. It's got very large arms, symmetrical, and it's hungry. And it wants to eat. Next picture. This is part of the next picture of the Apollo 16 shots. So that's the type of landscape we're looking at. Straight away there's one crustaceous creature down the bottom, very knobbly. There's that thing sitting there that looked like that huge wasp on legs right there. So there's a special addition just on that one. And right here looks like a crustacean with three big arms. So let's go further for picture. Here we go, look at that. What we see here is one type of a ball there. You see a crustaceous type of creature there. It's got three arms and two parts of the body there. It's very hard to interpret, but obviously it's something there. Let's go to the next one. There it is there again. We see some sort of a knobbly life form there. And there's one, I think, in that they always seem to hide on the edge in the shadows, and they're just like big crustaceous creatures waiting to catch something to eat. There it is. But hard to make out. That's the one with the two big side arms just sitting there. These could be little worms higher up. We saw one bent over. It's a large body just sitting there waiting to catch lunch. There's one there. It's very knobbly. Further up, these could be growths more than actual crustaceans, but the one underneath, that's its body there and the claws. Wow. These could be the worms underneath. Obviously there's prey to be caught. The trick is to work out what it is. That could be part of that worm there. So there seems to be a lot of things happening. And here's one just on the edge, sitting there. It's a very small one. That's part of one in the shadow there. We'll try to enlarge that. That's all we have for that one.